Hello friends, welcome to JQuery tutorial. In this video, we are going to create the HTML file inside our environment which we set up previously. So here in this video, we will create the HTML file. And if you see, we will be having a HTML and that is ending here. Then we have head, and inside the head we have meta as well as title. Then in the body we will be having a header tag, then some sample paragraphs, and after that we will be having one more header, then we begin one more paragraph. So this is our simple HTML file. After creating the basic section, we will set up working directory with Visual Studio Code when we go to the demo. Actually, we done this step in our previous example itself. We created a folder called JQuery. Inside the JQuery folder, we created a folder called the API, and inside the API folder, we extracted the JQuery API, which is nothing but a simple JavaScript file, and we placed that inside the API folder. So our environment was ready in the previous video itself. So here in the head section, we refer CSS file as well as JavaScript file. So this CSS is for applying the style, and the JavaScript file is to perform JQuery API calls. So if you look at here, you can refer the CSS file using the link tag and rel. You need to specify style sheet for this rel attribute, then hyperlink reference 001b basic selector.css. So this is the CSS file we are going to create in the next video. For now, this section is invalid. So in the HTML file, this is how we can refer a CSS file. And the CSS file stays in the same location where the HTML file is staying. If it is in different subfolder, then you have to use the relative path with a dot slash, then folder name slash folder name, then CSS file, right? So what you have to notice is we use the link tag here with the rel and href attributes to refer the CSS file. Once the CSS file is referred here, you can apply whatever style specified here inside the HTML elements. Next, we have the script link. There are two script links. One is to refer the jQuery. Here we specified it as jQuery.js, and we can go to our API folder and we can rename the jQuery file, or we can rename it here, right? And since we use a relative path, we have to go with the .api and jQuery. After that, we refer our own JavaScript file. If you see, there are two JavaScript files. One is jQuery.js. This we downloaded from the internet, and this is the API for jQuery, and this is our own custom JavaScript. Since jQuery is coming before this JavaScript, all the APIs exposed by this jQuery.js will be available for the JavaScript file which you are creating. Alright, so we kept all these references inside our head, because head starts here and it ends here. So since we kept all these external references, right, since we kept that in the head section, all these are available inside the body. One of the JavaScript file is JQuery API lib, and we saw that here. In the body, we have two p tag, one with ID and one with the class name. If you see, here is the paragraph tag. We already have some paragraph here, but it doesn't have any specific attribute. But here in these two paragraphs, we have ID equal to p22 and class equal to third. So ID is useful to pick a specific paragraph uniquely. Why? Because here ID is p22 and it can be used only once, that means p22. And when you name your element with ID, it will be useful when you are picking the element later. Those stuff we will see in the next coming videos. Next, we have class equal to third. So here we are applying the class attribute for this paragraph. So this class attribute is useful to apply specific CSS styles. Of course, in CSS selector, you can use ID also. So, but here we are using the class, and the class will be useful and it can be applied to multiple paragraphs. ID is unique, but the class you can apply to any element. Okay. So that's all. So we have two p tag, one with ID and one with the class name, and we will be accessing this element using jQuery later. Now let's go to the demo. Okay, now let's open Visual Studio Code. So since we already opened the folder, here you can see the jQuery and API. Let's click here and rename it. So we are simply calling it as jQuery, and when you open it, inside you can see what is the specific version. So as already advised in the course, use this specific version so that your learning process goes smooth. Why? Because there will not be any API change, since you are also referring the same version which this course is referring. Right? If you have advanced version and when there are any API change, then you have to make modification. So your learning will not go smooth. All right. Now click on this jQuery and click new file, and here we are naming it as 01 my first .html. So this is the HTML file we are going to create, and the code is available for download, and here I'm directly pasting the code. So typing will take time, and that's why here we are simply pasting the code. And if you like typing it, then you can do it. You will get a nice IntelliSense with Visual Studio for all HTML elements. Link REL. So you can get this kind of this type of IntelliSense when you are typing the code. Save the file. So once you save the file, make sure the file is selected, and then click on Run and Debug. Then simply click Run and Debug green button here. So once you click, it will open which browser you want to use. Here I'm choosing Web App Chrome. So now you can see it displays the HTML file, and at present we don't have CSS as well as JavaScript, even though we referred that in the header section. So press Ctrl Shift I This will open the developer tool, and you can see there are two errors. One is basic selector.css and another one is basic selectors.js. Since we haven't created those files, it is showing those error for now. In the next coming videos, we will go ahead with the selector and we will write our first JQuery method calls in this specific file. So that's all. Now you can stop your debug session here by clicking the square button. We created our HTML file and we ran it. Now switch to the Explorer. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.